there has always been a lot of skepticism and talk around Trent Alexander-Arnold as a player, right? People were skeptical of him as a right back. They were skeptical of him as a central midfielder. They were skeptical of him even as a player in the first place. Was he the build? Is he the kind of player that Liverpool want? He didn't fit this mould or that mould. And the bravery that Gareth Southgate has shown in this tournament in playing Trent as an out-and-out midfielder, not as a right-back who's converting into a midfielder, but as an out-and-out central midfielder alongside Declan Rice, so far hasn't paid off, I'd imagine, in the way that he thought it would or would wish it would, right? Trent is clearly an incredibly talented player, and we all know that, obviously, being Liverpool fans. There's a reason you're on this channel, there's a reason you're watching this, and part of it is probably because of your love and affection for Trent, what he's done for you as a player, but also just what you think he's capable of, right? And I remember years ago venturing a theory with Kieran Dyer on the kickoff, right? And I said, I think ultimately Trent could be a midfielder. But similar to Wayne Rooney and a couple of other people, Dyer kind of shot back with, I don't think he's got the spatial awareness. Now, since then, I think his spatial awareness has definitely improved. We're talking about a young kid at the time. You know, you don't know anyone's ceiling at that point. You could basically say anyone at 19 is capable of almost anything in football, converting to a centre-back. There's plenty of different combos that I could have gone there with him. But the point was, we knew that Trent was something special. But that also requires coaching. That requires honing that skill. It requires choosing what it is that you're good at. And I think Trent very much has chosen what he is good at. But where is his manager in combination with that? Well, Gareth Southgate is one of those managers. He's one of those people who wants to encourage Trent to be himself, to maximise what it is that he does. There is not just a short-term, hey, we've got to win a tournament here. There is a long-term, hey, you're going to be an England player for a decade, most probably. So let's get you to the point that you need to be. So then we come to tournaments. You only get so many tournaments in your career. You only get so many times where you can perform and win something at the end of it. You get one every season with the Champions League or Europa League or Europa Conference League as a player. You get one league, you get a couple of cups. But every couple of years, you get a World Cup, a Euros, possibly more if you're FIFA. Anyway, the point is, Trent is often maligned and hasn't done what I'd imagine he wanted to do in the tournament so far. He put in a pretty good performance against Serbia, actually, a performance that I appreciated, and a performance that I kind of thought, hey, I expected that as an opening performance from Trent Alexander-Arnold. Great passing, great range, biting into tackles, interceptions. I mean, you got to put Liverpool players in there somewhere. And an awareness of a game against a clearly inferior midfield in terms of technical ability, in terms of execution, in terms of setup, all those kind of things, to Trent Alexander-Arnold, Rice, and Bellingham, alongside a couple of other guys, right? The point is, Trent is a great player, but there are times where he psychs himself out. There are times where he drifts away from games. There are times where actually you just need someone who's going to sit a little bit deeper and have their mind on the guys behind them as much as the guys in front of them. And Trent, it's not down to his, there's no one specific thing where you go, oh, this guy's terrible at that. But games can get away from him at times. Partially because he's reaching so far for this almost perfect version of the player that he is, the Steven Gerrard type, Superman type midfielder who can pull teams through games. And I said it over on my other channel with Kane, I don't think we need that right now. I don't know if England need that right now. I think what we need is system, combination. Someone who's able to pick out Gordon consistently on a dime, which is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Someone who's able to pick out Saka when he needs to. Someone who doesn't have Kane dropping in alongside him. Someone who has Rice, who is a fantastic left central midfielder and central midfielder in himself. But those guys haven't quite got the give and go, and I don't want to turn this into this generation's Lampard and Gerrard, but you get where I'm going with this. Trent is amazing at all that. But then there's also looking over his right shoulder and looking at Kyle Walker. Is that the right back that you want immediately behind Trent? Most people, and again, it kind of comes back to the same thing I was talking about with Kane. England only have so many combinations. England only have so many choices of these players. You cannot go out and sign a new player because you can't go out and change nationality. So I get it, there is a limited crop. But this crop is incredibly talented and incredibly coachable, as they have proven throughout the season. I was having another conversation the other day with a friend of mine, and we were talking about what actually contribute better to the side. Bellingham, who has been allowed to drift and move and learn and Ancelotti himself for a season, or Foden, someone who has been less drifty, less movey, more systematic, more pepped than ever before, and yet has still some moments of brilliance. The player still exists in there, the technical ability still exists in there, and actually I think those two in combination are great. But the question was less geared towards the individual player and more geared towards how is it that you take a player from a Liverpool type environment and put them in an England type environment and make them thrive? Well, one of those things would be to put Jurgen Klopp as manager, but you're not going to be able to do that. Another thing would be, of course, to put Pep Guardiola as manager. You're not going to be able to do that. Another thing, would be to play exactly to their strengths. Well, they're not doing that with Trent specifically, and they're often not doing that with Foden specifically. There seem to be a lot of compromises going on right now. And the players that are being asked to compromise don't necessarily feel like players you would want to compromise for. Not because they have massive egos or they are these guys who are like, I'm not going to compromise, you should compromise. Because this England side is so capable and they feel like they are just a few training sessions, a few steps away, whether that's with Gareth Southgate or not is another question, from finding something where you go, hey, we're reaching new heights here as an England side. This is really special what this England team is going to do. You're seeing it with Spain. You're seeing it with Italy. You're seeing it with Germany. There are individuals in there that have been unleashed within this tournament. And boy, do I want to see Trent have a similar impact on this England side. It's just that all the England players seem slightly inhibited right now, slightly playing within themselves, slightly playing into a system which doesn't yet suit them, but could so quickly be adjusted to suit them. And it cannot be because Maguire is not within this side. It cannot be because Luke Shaw is not fit. It cannot be because Kyle Walker is a very decent right back, but is not Reece James. It has to be because the overall system, the overall meshing and gelling of this side, at the moment there is something wrong. And that is not going to benefit your Kanes. It's not going to benefit your Trents. It's only going to benefit the opposition, who very easily break down England's systems, very easily get a foot in, and very easily go, hey, we can pick you apart. And guess what? When you're not on your game, we will very easily take any of the extra bits that you add on as Trent or Kane and just diminish them completely out of your game. Then you lose the player. You might as well be playing a more generic player in there. You might as well start Ollie Watkins. You might as well start Conor Gallagher. You might as well see what Trent looks like as an impact player. And part of this is in combination with their personality types, right? Kane, leader personality. Trent, leader personality. Rice, similar. But there are plenty of leaders within this side. There are plenty of young guys who can maximize what it is that they do in order to get the best for this England team. And the point is, Klopp knew where he was going with his midfield. He knew where Trent was going to go. He knew what compromises he had to make in order to incorporate Trent into this side. And England are going to have to make some compromises from some position. And does that mean that we compromise Trent, or does it mean we compromise somewhere else in the side? For me, I would compromise somewhere else. I'd compromise Kyle Walker at right back. I'd compromise with Rice sitting a little bit deeper. I'd compromise by pushing Trent a little further on, Bellingham a little further over, Foden a little further up, or Anthony Gordon out there. And that, for me, seems like it rejigs or jigs around in the way that I want it to. And it also allows Trent to pick out a couple of great passes, allows Trent to drop a little deeper when he needs to and push on when he doesn't. I would also look at, and just respectfully, if I did play Gallagher, Trent at that right back position, pushing on a little bit more, and Gallagher or Rice, probably Gallagher, being just a little bit more defensive. It's not as if whoever plays a combination for England at centre-back is not capable of covering over there. Konate plays a very specific position for Liverpool. Virgil van Dijk plays a very specific position. In fact, what we are seeing now is how brilliant Trent is for Liverpool, how brilliantly he plays his role, how brilliant Konate is, how brilliant Virgil van Dijk is, how brilliant Robertson or whoever else it is that fills in at left-back has been for Liverpool, how great Endo did, how fantastic Szoboszlai and McAllister were in allowing the rotation within that midfield. This anti-environment of England is allowing us to look at this Liverpool team with fresh views and say, yeah, wow, what Klopp was achieving was actually pretty special. And even though they finished third, and I know people are talking about looking higher up the table at this point, there is something impressive about what they do and did. So let me know in the comments below what it is that you would do with Trent. I think I'd probably play more to his strengths. I may even stick him back at like a right back starting berth, allow him to drift in a little bit more, allow him to pick out that crossfield pass, give him someone to pass that ball across to. It's a very simple thing, but let's see. And frankly, I'd give him another combination outside of Kane if, and this is a big if, Kane is not going to be in the box. If Kane is in the box, put Trent where he is. If Kane is not, put Trent a little wider and allow him to pick out those passes to Watkins. Stretch the opposition. Do it. See what happens. This is frustrating. Very frustrating. I'll finish on this though. Maybe England aren't even clicked yet. Maybe England aren't even trying to run yet. Maybe they don't even need to run yet. I really hope that's the case. It just doesn't feel like the case because I'm looking at other teams click. Spain, Germany, etc., etc. And I'm thinking, boy, England don't even look a game away from that. You can't even say it's like they're just a little bit away. They look lethargic, off the ball, giving the ball away, unaware of where the pass is. And guess what? If you're a passer like Trent, you need much better passing stats. Rodri almost had 100% passes tonight. Trent, 91%, something around, I think it was like 88. Even Rice had better passing stats. Now, I get it, when Trent was on the field, he created 3 key passes. Rice had created 0 at the point where I looked at his stats. That's not the point. I get it. His passes are more risky. His passes are more dangerous. His passes are, that one that's going to unlock the opposition. So, of course, his passing stats will be different. And it's not necessarily even a criticism of him. But the point is, if you want the best out of Trent, it's not Trent in isolation. And at the moment, there's a lot of isolated players out there on that England pitch. Let me know what you guys think. I'll chat to you again in a while. I hope you're enjoying the breakdown of one Liverpool player at a time at this tournament. I might even do top 3 Liverpool players at the tournament. Drop below your top 3 Liverpool players at the tournament so far and what they've been doing, what they have done, and where you think they will get in the tournament. I'll see you guys in the next video. Much love.